Hi, I'm Lauren, and today I'm going to be giving tips for public forum. First off, presentation. Now, in public forum debate, the majority of your judges will be lay judges, meaning that they're just your everyday adults, not really fully immersed in the debate community. So they don't really know a lot of debate terms, a lot of things about debate. They're just kind of normal people who don't really know these things, which means that whenever you are debating in public forum, you have to keep things relatively simple. Not only that, but you also need to keep your presentation very appealing, because if a judge were to be confused and they didn't really know what was going on, then they would probably go towards your presentation and how you seemed throughout the round, how your confidence was, how your organization was, things like that, and how your speaking skills were. Because if they don't understand the arguments, they're going to go to those things to judge who is the winner of the round. But in order to make sure judges do understand, you want to make sure that you have a quote at the beginning of your case, because that'll give a good introduction to the judge as to what the topic is. You also just want to have an overgeneralization of what the topic is, just so that the judge can understand what's going on, because sometimes the resolution isn't enough to introduce them into the topic. Next, you want to be well prepared. Now, in public forum, you can either, in any round, you can either be pro or con, first or second speaker. And the best thing to choose out of these things, if you have the choice, is second speaker, because that'll not only give you more time to prepare throughout the round, but it'll also make it so that the last thing the judge hears in the round is your team's case and your final ending points. So that'll give you a huge advantage, and it'll leave your ideas on the judge's last impression of the round, which will definitely help you win. So you want to keep both sides, the pro and the con, well prepared before the round, so that you can choose either way with no worry. Even if you do prefer one side, make sure to prep them both evenly so you can always choose second speaker when needed. First speaker just feels more rushed. I've never been comfortable being first speaker. It just feels better to be second speaker in all regards. More prep time, more impact on the judge. It's just better. So you definitely need to prepare for both sides. Also, you want to have at least 3 practice rounds before you go to any tournament. The reason for this is that you can make sure that you know the arguments that can be made against your contentions, so that you can make them stronger and be able to answer those attacks much easier when you're actually in your real debate rounds. Also, it'll give you a chance to read through your case, and because presentation is so important, another thing about presentation is keeping eye contact with the judge. If you've read through your case a few times and you can maybe look up from time to time and give that judge some eye contact, that'll help you out and really connect with the judge with what you're saying. On that note, also, don't stand behind a podium. You want to be open to the judge, and you want to be able to use your hands and things like that to explain. You don't want to be hidden by the podium. You want to be up front and center. Even if your opponent stands behind that podium, you don't have to follow them in that regard. You can just go away from the podium and go present yourself fully to the judge. So, whenever you're in round, you should be well prepared, and even though you may be well prepared, you can still get stressed out. And sometimes you may not know how to answer something, sometimes you may just be kind of confused within the round. But one thing you definitely want to do is look calm and collected, even if you are stressing out on the inside. Because think of it this way: Team A looks really calm. They look like they know what they're about to say, and Team B is struggling around, moving all their papers to side, and they look really worried about their next speech. They get up there, they're shaking, they just don't have a firm stance. Even if the judge had no idea what either person was talking about, they're probably going to go for the team that looks cool and collected. So no matter how much you're struggling, you want to look like you know what you're talking about. And even if you're BSing something, make sure it seems like you know what you're talking about. Which brings me to my next tip. Not only should you well prepare both sides, you should just research the general topic overall, so that when you're having a questioning period, you can have a vast knowledge of the topic, so you can just know your stuff. If you don't know your stuff, then you're going to be up there struggling and not knowing how to answer questions, and that just looks bad to the judge and gives the other team ways to poke at your case and just to poke at you overall and point out wrong things that you've done, and you don't want that to happen. That makes you look bad in front of the judge and does not help you win. So you want to have a good overall knowledge of the topic, so that in that questioning period, and you can just apply it overall in your speeches. If you instead of just reading from the pieces of evidence, if you can just bring things into an overall synthesis, it just sounds much better. Another tip: say your partner goes up there and they're in the middle of their speech and they say something completely incorrect. What you want to do is not to be like, oh shoot, no. You don't want to do that, because that is making your partner look bad. And since your partner is a part of your team, you're just bringing your own team down when you do that. No matter what your partner says, you want to look like you agree with them. But what you do want to do, you want to say, oh, I think my partner misspoke. What we meant to say was this. But do it in a way that still makes your partner look good and not like in a hateful way. Because I know from personal experience, whenever you are arguing with your partner kind of in round or sending them ugly glances, the judge does not like that and does not appreciate it. And it definitely takes away from how your chances of winning the round. Like I said before, it's good to have at least 3 practice rounds, and that is because it'll show what arguments will be made against your contentions. I can't say how important it is to have at least some practice before you go into a round, because if you just go in there and you haven't really debated it before, no matter how much you've researched the topic, you won't be as well prepared, because you haven't seen how the round goes out and how things work out in the round, and what things your case might need to improve, what things you might need to improve, and different things that need to change. And if you don't have a practice round, you'll just find yourself not really having a deep understanding of the topic, which is very much necessary in order to succeed in public forum. Also, whenever you are answering questions, be polite. Don't steal all the time. Now, if they say, oh, I don't have any questions, don't just go and sit down. Keep asking questions. And in your speeches, you should not have any leftover time. You should use all of your time wisely. And you should not be spreading. Since these are lay judges, they're not going to want to hear you going blah, 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 blah really fast. You want to speak clearly, pronunciate, and make your voice sound really nice. Again, that's why I think that you should read through your case a few times. Regardless of even if you're having practice rounds, read through your case a few times, read through your blocks, and make sure that they easily roll off the tongue so that you can use eye contact and you can speak clearly. And with your evidence that you have, you want to keep it well organized. Like I said before, the spastic team versus the composed team will do better. And if you're here wasting your prep time struggling to get your speech organized, that's not good. So practice the way you organize your things, practice your flowing, make sure that you're flowing correctly, because if you don't flow correctly, you can't ensure that you're actually answering all of their arguments. If you have a clear and easy to read flow for both you and your partner, then that'll make the round a lot easier. Also, if you are the first speaker, for your second speaker, you should be writing down questions for them to ask regarding the case, because all you've really done is read off your case. You're not going to have to make a speech until that 3-minute period in which you're giving the summary. So you might as well write some questions for your partner so that they can spend their time forming their rebuttal. That's just helpful. And if you have any extra time, you shouldn't just be sitting there. You should always be making connections, and you should always be trying to find new things to say, new questions to ask. And even maybe for prepping for next rounds, writing what kind of arguments you've come across within the round that you might need to prep for or find some more evidence on, and things like that. And when you finished your rounds, even after maybe your first or second round, whenever you're waiting outside for your next round, if you have free time, just maybe look for evidence and prep, and tell your teammates what to be looking out for and things like that. You should always be working to make things better, and you should be always trying to help out your partner in any way you can. So these are the main tips I have for public forum, and just make sure to The most important thing is to be well prepared and to have confidence in that round and make your presentation perfect. Thank you.